Greetings and welcome to... Oh, who are we kidding? You know what this is, I know what this is, we all know what this is, and yes, it's another 2019 Modathon showcase video. This time around, taking a look at Vvardenfell Expanded, Seyda Neen Slums by Yommumoi. And I do apologize, there is no way I got that pronunciation right. You guys know I'm not always great at pronouncing names, so anyway, you'll find a link for this mod down below. But with that introduction out of the way here, let's just begin. And needless to say, this is a town expansion and overhaul mod that makes quite a few changes to the once sleepy village of Seyda Neen. This includes a number of changes and additions to the original parts of Seyda Neen, like a new watchtower overlooking the bridge into town, or new imperial flags and banners hanging from just various buildings, or new docks and streetlights, and even the occasional new outdoor vendor with various wares for sale. But by far the largest addition here, and really the main meat of this mod, can be found just past the Seyda Neen Lighthouse, with a new district added to the outskirts of Seyda Neen, the so-called Slums district, with just a circle of shacks and other ramshackle buildings on a very tiny outcropping of land by the sea here. And overall, there's some dozen or so new buildings here, rather greatly expanding upon Seyda Neen, though they are just shacks for the most part. There's also some rather curious other new additions, such as a six-house shipwreck, and some old ruins scattered about along the shoreline, perhaps from the original pre-imperial settlement of Seyda Neen. And in any event, there's quite a bit for you to find in these new slums of Seyda Neen, including a handful of new shops, a new player home that you can purchase for a loaf of bread from a nearby Khajiit, a simple shack tavern where the locals gather, and speaking of, you'll find quite a few of them around the central fire pit and drinking well, like a sort of a communal plaza, and a few of these NPCs do actually have some unique dialogue, including some topics regarding the slums here. Though there aren't really any new quests, at least not yet anyway. The author has mentioned the potential for adding quests in the future though, so, that is a possibility. And I think this might have actually been the author's first mod, though I'm not 100% positive on that, but it does seem to be their first release mod in any case. And really, for a first release mod, it's pretty well designed, and shows a lot of creative talent, with some really nicely detailed new additions to Seyda Neen here. And this is arguably one of the better Seyda Neen expansion mods as far as actual, expansions go. Though some may prefer the more simplified clutter overhaul mods like Live Town Seyda Neen by Vvardenfell, or more complete makeovers such as Seyda Neen Imperial Port by Atreus, both of which were also released last year. But I'd say this is a pretty nice middle ground for those wanting both an expansion to Seyda Neen and more cluttering and detailing for the town here. But moving on, let's take a quick look at some interiors here. And as I mentioned before, there are some shops for you to find in the so-called slums, such as a smithy and an alchemist, though they don't exactly have much in the way of stock or bartering gold. But I have to say, the interior design here is pretty great, with a lot of nicely detailed, cozy, and atmospheric interiors that show a fair bit of creativity from the author. There's definitely some cool stuff to check out here. And of course, there's also the player home, which is, nicely furnished and provides a nice starting place for you to stay at when you're first starting out with the game here, with just enough storage for your, basic needs. But anyway, this is a pretty nice town expansion and clutter overhaul for Seyda Neen here, with a fair bit of content for you to check out. It won't be to, everyone's taste, but, it shows a lot of promise from the author. And indeed, the author has released another mod in the series, touching upon Fort Moonmoth, which we'll hopefully get around to, showcasing eventually. But, that's it for today, so, just keep in mind, links are down below, and I'll just see you all next time.